All right. Welcome back to the Lavicast. I'm your host once again, Laviarray. Once again here with DerpADuh and Waffles. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good. Good to
All
be
right.
back.
All
Same
right. So
here.
we just got done on our own watching the last episode of the Amazing Digital Circus. Did either one of you go to see it in theaters or just wait for it to come online?
Online.
I saw it in theaters because it just happened to be playing at mine. So I was like, fuck yeah, popcorn.
All right, cool. So yeah, I watched this when it came out on YouTube as well. And decided to just power through it, and I wanted to go ahead and have a little bit of a conversation here, but I want to try setting this up a little bit differently when it comes to the tone here. A lot of times when we're talking about other things in media, whether it's like the IDW Sonic, when it comes to other movies, other franchises, etc., we're usually breaking down the logical inconsistencies or of the weird stuff or a lot of the stuff that doesn't make sense in those that doesn't make sense. And I do want to get to that with this here too, but I think when it comes to talking about with Amazing Digital Circus, you kind of have to look at it a little differently, because not only is this Gooseworx project, this ending honestly kind of puts it into the term that this isn't really about the mechanics. This isn't really about any real broad subjects. This is mostly about being this is mostly about being what I would like to call a sadness simulator. Like a lot of different media in particular can be about like trying to explore different emotions, whether it's about humor, vengeance, enjoying the stuff, sometimes even sadism. And this is meant to be a bit of a sadness simulator. And you're kind of throughout the entire series, not just in this episode, we're always meant to be kind of getting to see the characters and trying to get a bit of understanding of some of the emotional hangups and problems that the characters are dealing with over the course of the story. We end up getting this with Ragatha when it comes to her people-pleasing tendencies, with Gaggle, her issues with being able to trying to find happiness in herself, and every single time she can, it feels like it always ends up like causing more problems. Zubul, her their I like to apologize, their issues with trying to find identity and how they ultimately want to define, and having an issue ultimately trying to stand up, trying to figure out who they are. Jax, literally basically everything about Jax.
Yeah.
And and when it comes to Pomni in particular, trying to get a grasp on this insane world that she's ultimately been placed in, and not entirely sure what she needs to do to fix into this. And on one hand, a part of me wants to respect that this series wants to try to explore what it means to be sad, being able to understand those perspectives. But the problem that leads me to not wanting to respect this is how much it encourages the audience, encourages and just kind of not necessarily encourages, but almost refuses to want to address or fix the problem, or even try to mitigate the problems that the characters have been dealing with up at this point until the very last minute. And even then it's more of a, we might as well just try to be pleasant while we're miserable, instead of actually trying to do anything to do anything to actually take advantage of the situation that they're in right now. And I know that's a bit of me, because my whole thing is with art is about trying to see that kind of stuff. And I want to try to throw this back to you guys a little bit, because I think as a sadness simulator, it's more focused on trying to do the character development and focus more on the character study that they're trying to do with, we can kind of say our six leads, but it's really closer to like five and a half, considering what happens at the ending. But personally, I think it kind of just fails at even doing that, because we end up getting at best like a taste of what some of these characters are going through, or some of the issues that they're dealing with, like when it comes to Ragatha or Gaggle. But when it comes to actually trying to explore or go into any depth of that, like how it ends up really causing them any negative problems or where this ends up coming, where we end up going to any real depth of that. It kind of doesn't. Like, I want to save Jax for later. I want to kind of cover the other girls first. So, like, when it comes to Ragatha, Pomni, Gaggle, and Zubul, I know non-binary, but just for the purpose of this conversation, the rest of the cast, and I'm really missing anything?
No, I'd say that's about who we focus on, I would say. So are you missing anything as far as like what they want to go for?
Right, because as a character study, it really seems like we just kind of stopped at just saying at best they have a bit of an emotional hang up. Ragatha, we kind of get a source that it kind of comes from the mother, but never get any real details about what we're going for. With Gaggle, we get an example of how them trying to be manic ends up leading to them feeling miserable about themselves.
Yeah.
Zubul is just a buzzkill. I barely even want to count them, to be honest, in this. And Pomni, I want to come back to Pomni, but let's focus on those three. Let's focus on those three first right now.
Yeah. So with and so I guess is your premise just basically like we don't do enough with it, basically, you would say? Like it's just really,
we don't really do anything with it. Like putting like the whole core of an isekai, especially a good isekai that's not just about like the power wish fulfillment, is usually about taking characters, especially when they have a lot of emotional hangups, and then putting them into environments that are meant to both challenge and explore those hangups in this wacky environment that they're in. Like this is basically Digimon. Like this is basically Digimon in a nutshell. Especially like the more adventure themed seasons, like with like the first 4 seasons. Or and I could think of a couple others too, but that's like the big one off the top of my head. And it's like, what do we really get out of Ragatha, Zubul, and Gaggle, even over the course of this finale, that really lends the idea of them being able to get consider them to be any real depth or any type of like core character study beyond just going people pleaser, depressed, and buzzkill.
Well, I'm guessing because one of the things with the finale is that, for example, our because I won't go into them too much, but it ties to everybody else. Our main character, basically of the movie, Jax, by the end of it, we don't really get a closure on what he decides to do. And I think that's probably what it also is trying to go for, which is
I want to go with Jax right now.
No, I'm not going to go into him, but I wanted to connect that to these characters, which is that Jax's character doesn't really have a finality to it. It's kind of hopefully he gets better. That's kind of the gist of it. And I think that's sort of what the show is also trying to go for, which is you're just sort of sitting with the characters, seeing them feel these things in these different contexts. Or in this movie, you have Ragatha interacting with Pomni and being like finally explaining how she feels and being like, well, no, you are my friend and you are the one who encourages me to be the way I am and stuff. It's like, oh, wow, I really need to hear that. And that's kind of, I think, what the movie is trying to settle on, is just the idea of like, oh yeah, that's what Ragatha gets in the end, is she gets to learn that, oh no, you did make a difference in Pomni's life. Oh, cool. And then hopefully that makes your life better going forward. And I think that's seemingly what they're trying to do. Whereas in the end, you also have like Gaggle and Zubul, where they meet up and they're just like, they're just there for each other. And that's kind of the end. It's just like the show is just basically about like, just be there for people in the circumstances that you're in. At least that's what I'm guessing it's going for. I mean, none of us really gave our general feelings on the movie. Should we do that real quick? Not detail, but just like, did you like it or not?
You go first, Lavi.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a good way to conduct this because
I mean, I'm guessing you did. I don't want any details. I would just want to know, did you like it? Derp, did you like it?
I feel pretty mixed about it.
Yeah, and then I'm pretty mixed on it too. So I just wanted to set that up for the audience so we know.
Okay, so the reason I was trying to say this is because like the short answer is I didn't. That's the best way I can put it. I thought this was just basically a direct continuation of all the problems that I already brought up with the past 8 episodes, this just got more indulgent and tried to be more artistic with its visual cue. Yeah,
and that's why I wanted to ask, just because I agree with you that I do think it doesn't really go into it as much. What I'm trying to, I guess, play devil's advocate for is just to explain what I think it's going for is that, which is that there isn't really kind of a crescendo moment of like, yes, we explored and this is the answer. Instead, it's like you get to see all the different characters in their sadness state, as you're kind of talking about. And then by the end, the show basically says, through Jax as its main character, basically in Pomni, it's like, well, I guess we'll see what happens, but at least we're here for each other. And that's kind of the gist of it, it would seem.
Well, that's the thing. I don't remember them ever trying to say like, oh yeah, things will end up trying to get better, or like we'll maybe see how things can end up improving. It just seemed more like they were just kind of giving up and just kind of accepting like this is all we can really do and go for that, because I don't want to even give them that level, because the entire series, including this movie, is basically just about going, if you are in a bad situation, just grin and bear it. Don't really try to do anything to either fix it or even try to do anything to improve or take advantage of the situation that you're in right now. Instead, it's just kind of really encouraging to be kind of, I came up with a whole bunch of list of words I had for this, because I don't want to keep saying BM like I was saying in the last video, but it's very.
Is it like passive, basically? Just like, let things, because I mean, in the end, for example, they don't save Caine and bring him back into the story to give them god powers. He just sort of comes back and he's like, hey guys, I'm chill now. Do you want god powers? And they say, yeah. And then they make their lives better by getting themselves like a bar, or like they have like extra islands at the end. So is that kind of the idea of like the characters don't really earn that? Because, in the end, we find out like they're fucked. They're stuck here. They can't get out because they're not real. So then the idea, at the end of the movie is they get god powers and they make like more islands and they just make this their world. But they don't really get that themselves. They're just handed it by Caine, kind of.
Right. No, that's not even it. Like, I don't have first off, they didn't get given god powers. We were already establishing at the beginning of this movie that they had something of reality creating abilities and reality changing abilities in this in the first place. They were just kind of struggling to like build onto them in the first place. I don't have a problem that they didn't quote unquote earn this. The problem I've had throughout this entire movie, this entire series, is how much that it does not encourage the characters to actually be proactive or even trying to do anything to fix their problems until they're basically even forced into a corner. Even then, they're still reluctant about doing anything about this. For example, the whole movie starts out at the end of episode 8, and Jax is getting mad at Kinger for deleting Caine. And I'm like, I still don't understand why that was even meant to be a bad thing. Like, why wasn't that plan A? Because they never explain in the universe why they need to keep this guy, why they need to keep Caine around to any degree. So like, why is them deleting Caine a bad thing? Because even if you thought, oh wait, if we delete him, it'll delete the world, that's clearly not what happened. So it's like, what was the
alternative? Really just kind of creates a bunch of holes and they don't have light anymore. That's basically it.
Right. And that's the reason why I didn't want to try going too much into the technical elements, because trying to go into how this story does not go into its sci-fi elements or go into or has all these different plot holes is missing the point. Because the problem is not that, because that's never been the show's main purpose. The show's main purpose is just about trying to kind of be self-indulgent about the fact that these characters have emotional hangups and not wanting to do anything to actually show them either confronting and dealing with why they have these problems and actually having them to direct fixing and overcoming them to any degree. And I think I could go into how they kind of don't do this with Ragatha and Pomni, but honestly, I think this is the best time to start talking about Jax. If you guys are up for it.
Yeah, I'm down with it.
All right, so half of this movie is dedicated to going into breaking. So after everything, they start trying to clean up the stuff with cleaning up everything that happened after they deleted Kinger. I mean, not Kinger, Caine. They start trying to work on rebuilding the place, but Jax decides like just go off on his own, and then ends up abstracting and turning into a monster off screen.
It's not just Jax. Like everybody literally just wanders off with like Pomni.
They all eventually come back though. Like
yeah.
He's the only one.
No. I'm just focusing on Jax here for right now.
Yeah.
So after a little bit of after Pomni gets a pep talk from Kinger and gives one to Ragatha, she decides to trap the abstracted Jax in the dark hallway in front of their rooms, and use this as a chance to basically break into his mind to go deeper to try to figure out if she can save him or not, which leads to her seeing everything from his perspective and all the memories that he's had since he came here. And this is where we finally end up finding out about his relationship with Ribbit, all of the moment of conversation that he had trying to be vulnerable. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna come back to that. And finding out how much he ended up like distancing himself after that conversation, how he was just completely rude, disrespectful, and kind of completely ended up like kicking Ribbit out of her life, and more or less ends up leading to, and by the show's own logic, kind of implies that he indirectly led to her and the other clown friend abstracting because he was abstracting because of his bullshit, ended up leading off of that. And the whole point of the story is about how once she ends up getting to talk to him, she ends up Jax is basically going like, I don't know what I can do. I just want to stay here. I'm too miserable. I'm garbage. I shouldn't ever be here. I just stay here. And Kami is trying to hug him out of it, but ends up getting pulled out before she ends up getting too corrupted too. And Jax is just kind of, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and the implication is like, hopefully he will.
What makes you think it's going to be hopefully that he might get better?
Well, because they put him in like the little pillow tent in the darkness, and they just kind of let him sit there. So the idea is like, oh, like hopefully he gets better. Like hopefully he'll be able to come out of it, but who knows?
Yeah, that's not it.
Oh, is it not?
No. So like the implication, well, not the implication, the metaphorical existence of these abstractions, which is puzzling. I'm going to say that right now before I even mention this, is that it's kind of like an allegory for suicide, which is why you notice all of these people when they abstract, it's off screen because we don't want to show something so graphic and kind of sensitive. So they all like wander off in isolation, and the next time you see them is there's these monsters or whatever.
Oh yeah, but I figured the magic element of it, that's why like she's able to actually talk to him at all, because otherwise he'd just be a mindless monster, right?
But yeah, no, I have no real idea how this even it's like this sci-fi concept fighting with its own other matter.
But again, that's the thing. This is not like they're using the sci-fi stuff to just use this as a sadness simulator. The sci-fi stuff is just the window dressing, just so they can do all of this what the fuckery. And that's the reason why like none of this shit makes any kind of sense when you end up breaking it down.
Yeah, like when Pomni goes into the mind space palace thing of the abstraction, I'm like, how did we get here? how did this happen? It's like, okay, it's just happening now.
It's just science fiction bullshit.
Yeah, it's just like science. Yeah, it's just science magic thing. Go along with it.
No, it's because Gooseworx like this of the aesthetic. Because I noticed this a lot, especially during that section. She like throughout that entire section, we kept trying to cut to like different visual cues and different flares for like establishing how Jax was like out of control, didn't know what he was doing, like completely not having any sense of self, like him standing under that street light, or then cutting to him falling out of nowhere, cutting to this other random abstract, cutting to doing like the image set of him like in all these different outfits as we end up like flashing through all of that and just doing that over and over again. And it's like we're not here because we're trying to have like sci-fi stuff. It's because Gooseworx is a fan of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and Evangelion did all that kind of abstract crap because like it was also trying to be a bit indulgent about the fact of how much we want to do this character study about how miserable and depressed all these characters are. But unlike Evangelion, where they're in a fucking apocalyptic scenario where there's nothing really for them to be able to fix. The conflict, and that's meant to be the source of their sadness and problems in the first place, is how much they were wrecked by this stuff. These guys all really had problems just from their own personal lives. And if we weren't going to do anything proper with the sci-fi stuff other than just using abstraction as a substitute for suicide, there is no reason this shouldn't have been a slice of life. And if the whole idea is just trying to do this weird suicide metaphor, which I do believe that's probably what, I didn't see that, but I would not be surprised if that's what Gooseworx was going for with this.
Yeah, it very much is.
It's really sorry and and I have no respect for it. Not only because of just how no, I was trying to think of a different reason, but no, it's all just for one reason.
Tying it into like the abstraction stuff is just kind of bewildering to me.
Mm-hmm.
I really just don't get. I know, again, it's like just like sci-fi concept stuff. You just gotta roll with it. But at the same time, I'm like, I just don't. I struggle to understand it, and with like Kinger's wife, and then like Jax by the end, and like we're kind of like jumping around a lot, but like I just want to mention this. So like Pomni goes into the mind space, and we spend like a lot of time with them, like with her going through his memories and trying to kind of help him in some way. I'm not gonna lie to you. I genuinely was like kind of wondering at a point, are we gonna do like a like a My Little Pony friendship is magic type thing where she uses her power of love so passionately that she manages to break through the abstraction darkness and pull his light out, and he's saved.
Okay, so here's the sorry, continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no, like I genuinely, at a point, I was genuinely like, oh, is she gonna like save him through this, and he's gonna be back to normal, back to his like unabstracted self? But nah, it's a very like artsy fartsy emotional sequence, where she just basically gets like one big expo dump on his life story, and his like tragic cautionary tale as like what this basically all is. It's just like one big cautionary tale.
And I'm going to say, and here's the problem I have with that in particular. This is a really stupid, shitty cautionary tale, because it's not, because I get what they're trying to say with Jax, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But first of all, everything that Jax is going through right now, I know that Gooseworx and a bunch of people on Twitter have been trying to say like, oh yeah, no, this was like when you're repressing yourself, when you are like going to be trans, and this is what happens when you don't press, or you just end up balling yourself up, and if you don't, you're just gonna end up like making everyone else around you awful, terrible, and you're just gonna end up killing yourself. No, fuck off with that. First off, there is nothing unique about Jackson's about nothing uniquely trans about what's going on with Jackson's situation. Anyone can end up being this much of a jackass. He is not unique on this front. And the whole point about someone being like this doesn't have to just be because they're trans. It could just be because they have an issue. They don't know how to, because all of Jax's issues don't come from the fact that he's just repressing trans. Is that he came from a situation where he was being abused and never got the proper tool set to learn how to self-regulate or how to be able to deal with himself properly. And just saying if he just transitioned, that was going to fix that problem. No, it wouldn't. All this would have done was just let him feel more comfortable on being with himself. But this would still mean that he would have that exact same type of emotional regulation if he ever did have to deal with another character problem or character flaw, which is always going to end up popping up. No one is going to ever have a perfectly unchallenged life where you are always going to be able to be in a good mood all the time. But it's always going to be your responsibility to make sure that you keep yourself in check, no matter how good or bad you're feeling in that moment. So just having him transition, he was still going to end up being that way in the first place. And so this is where, this is why I was going to interrupt you a little bit earlier, Derp. I'm fine that Pomni couldn't save him with the power of love and compassion, because that's not what he needs right now. He does not, because the whole thing I got from that is because I have seen plenty of guys like women too, but plenty of guys like Jax. They don't need love, and they don't need love and going, we're here for you. No, they need to kick in the pants and get them to understand what it means to have priorities. Because the whole problem that he had during that situation, that he just got so head ass, so unwilling to actually get any type of goals or any type of focus about what he wants in his life, that he just kind of devolved into himself and didn't do any type of checking on himself. And and this ends up just kind of spinning out in particular, especially, and I have no patience for him for this in particular, because the series ultimately does state that he is indirectly responsible for 2 other people basically committing suicide. But this is where I kind of
at the very least, he just drives them away completely, to where if it's not, again, I do think it's the suicide allegory, but like I'm sure in universe the idea is that the idea of abstracting is that like you're breaking down mentally and you like go insane, basically. Like you lose the will to live. So regardless, he broke 2 people emotionally, you know.
Right. And the problem that I have with this entire cast in particular is not just that they always make their emotional issue someone else's problem. They don't. All of them have a lot of emotional baggage because they are completely emotionally dependent on everyone liking them. If they can't handle one person not liking them, they end up falling apart. Ribbit's a really Ribbit's a really good example. First off, no one should ever kill themselves over a guy not being respected, returning their feelings or being a douchebag over them. But you did that over Jax.
Yeah, people calling Jax like a fumbler, but like I don't know. I feel like girl a little crazy.
and that's the thing. Everyone here, and the problem and this actually ends up kind of having even more problems in this, because it's not because like it's bad enough that Ribbit ended up mostly falling apart because Jax was being a douchebag to her. But it's like, girl, Ragatha's right there. There is no reason you should be doing this right now. She is
not wrong. So I'm
like, and this is what genuinely bothers me. We can jump into we can still on the emotional stuff here, but I'm up for talking about the technical stuff here. This is what genuinely pisses me off about this entire show, because the only way I can ever enjoy this is I have to completely turn my brain off and not consider any other mechanics or anything go on here on every fucking level, not just in terms of how the sci-fi levels work, but just in how people work. Because like, even if you are the most depressive person imaginable, you mean to tell me that you wouldn't look in a universe where you're basically going, hey, we're in a video game world where you can basically create everything you want, and you don't try to do anything with it other than just going, well, I guess I just make a bar because I just wanted to run a bar. But the only thing I would want to do beyond that is like a softball game. No one is allowed to be that fucking boring. That is illegal to be that fucking boring. And it's everything. They can't be proactive about their own problems until another man basically tells them to do it. They can't, they're constantly emotionally dependent on everyone else around them liking them. If they don't, one person liking them, they immediately fall apart. They just end up bottling themselves into their own little fucking bubble and not being able to do anything properly. And it's like, look, I get it. You want to be a sadness simulator, but if you're going to be a sadness simulator, keep the shit simple. There is nothing about what these characters do here that you could not do in a slice of life, that you couldn't do in a slice of life setting. But if it was in a slice of life setting, this wouldn't be able to get the attention that it needs. Which honestly, as much as I'm up for having slice of life stuff get attention, I'm okay with that, because there's only so much validity I can get out of people being sad at the behest of literally doing anything else in response. And this series is so both cynical and pretentious while trying to do that in the first place. Because the thing is, I said 5.5 characters for a reason, because for some reason, even though they established at the end of the last episode and for the first half of the movie that they did delete Caine is just back for some reason.
See, that's funny, because like I think everybody had the same general confusion, and it was only like afterwards that people were like, "Oh, he's in the rubbish bin." Get it? Like computers, when you delete a thing and it goes to the rubbish bin.
That's not what it got. No. See, again, I have to cut my brain off for this shit, and I'm like, I'm usually willing to give tech fantasy stuff a pass.
That's what the void was the whole time. You know, the mystery box of what the void was. It was the rubbish bin.
That's not mystery what the garbage bin is, though. The garbage bin
solved the mystery, you guys.
Until you hit delete, and then it's just gone.
Now it's a rubbish bin. He just wasn't
That's not what a
super.
garbage bin is.
He
That's
wasn't
not-
super deleted. He was only deleted, not super deleted. So yeah, Caine has like
But here's
a
the problem.
5-minute.
No, here's the problem. Even if I believe that, which I don't, King is supposed to be a fucking developer. Why the fuck would he not go to the trash bin? Why would he not? If he was either concerned about doing anything with Caine and concerned about deleting by accident, why did he not check the garbage bin?
Well, that was like a high stress moment. Like he misclicked, he did a misinput, he accidentally deleted Caine, and before he could like look into it any further, bad shit was going on, and then the
But
computer fell
that's
into
not what
the.
the garbage bin is.
I don't know what to tell you. Just
I know,
watch.
it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit because they wanted to try to do a last. Because
Yeah, he gets like a 5-minute
he
the
gets a
little
5-minute
scenes of.
speech talking about like, oh, I guess I should. They just really didn't like me. Oh, let me have this whole existential crisis speech that's basically a mirror of everything else every other character's been going through up to this point, and I guess I'll just let go of this one blue ball that I guess was the thing that led me to wanting to do things now, because wanting to do things is bad. Here, goodbye. You good to go into the garbage bin. I'll go back and just apologize for the mistakes I've made. And it's just like,
Yeah, he just froze that into the.
I'm not saying I'm against Caine getting a redemption arc. Like, honest, like as I say about everything I was saying about him before, but I never thought he was a bad guy. I just thought he was just kind of head. I never.
Yeah,
thought
you just needed like a real talking to.
Yeah, and I'm just
yeah.
like, if we wanted to do this, then we should have been doing this shit directly, not just having him basically get a redemption arc off screen. Basically, him realizing what he did wrong off screen, because I have no idea why that was the one thing that ended up getting him to snap out of it.
Oh yeah, that was the part of the movie that I mostly checked out of, where it's cutting around to him like climbing out of the void and all that stuff. And again, like the idea of like, oh yeah, like he came back because it's like the trash bin, which I'm sure is probably what they were going for, just because that sounds like a funny little techie thing they would probably think of. But again, at that point, I would have Kinger make a joke about that so that the audience is in on it. Because again, as is, most people are just kind of like, is that it? Like, how'd that happen? What's going on? You know?
Yeah. Like what I'm talking about is like what the fandom is kind of said.
It's not confirmed. No, but yeah, that whole section I just found was really boring, and also, just emotionally, let's say I accept he came back, but he had like a really powerful introspection. No, I didn't really feel that powerful at all. It just kind of felt like he was like, oh shit.
The only part
so much they killed me. Dang.
Yeah, the only part with like Caine's little journey, I guess, of like getting out of that whole place that kind of hit me. And honestly, this might have been the only real part that I kind of walked away liking the most, maybe, is the little scene he has with Moon where the Moon basically said, no, he kind of talks to her and he's like, I don't know if they'll accept me. I hurt them. And she says like, yeah, a lot of things hurt, blah, 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 blah. I still love you. He's like, I never programmed you to say you love me. He's like, I know. It's like, oh, damn, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
That's like intelligent AI and still loves him. That's kind of sweet. That's kind of cute. I like that. I like the concept of the intelligent AI is that they barely do anything with in this show. That was like the one moment where I'm like, damn, that kind of touched me.
Yeah, and I think it's also just because kind of like Lav is talking about, it's just sort of like a simple thing of just like, oh yeah, he's going home, doesn't know how to feel, talks to like one of his creations, and the creation's like, well, I like you. It's like, oh, well, I didn't tell you to do that. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was actually about to co-sign Derp on that. I was like, I'm not gonna pull it as like a highlight of art or anything, but like, yeah, no, that was actually a really cute scene. I had no problems with that. It's just I just wish everything around Caine was actually done better just across the board. Like this could have, like, I would have been fine if this worked if we were actually challenging him on his motivation, challenging him directly on his motivation and why he was doing this shit in the first place, other than just going, I got sick crazy because this
I am God now.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of sitting here, and then when we end up getting to the ending, it's just like, okay, we're not gonna forgive you, but you can still be a part of us. And then it's just a weird little montage of them just kind of doing the same boring shit they did during like episode 5, and it's like, but now just updated. Now the King are playing around. Now they're doing a little D&D and just being so. It's so cute and twee, I just felt numb, and I was just like, because when I compound this with how much the series just refuses to ever do anything than the bare minimum in order to try to feel happy, in order to just like get to a comfort state, it doesn't feel like this is trying to argue make the best of a bad situation. It's we're in a bad situation, so we're just grin and just do the bare minimum, and we'll just maybe find a way to be peas with what we have, and nothing else. You guys are guys. Have fun.
Yeah, like part of my issue, and I think I might have said this like in the last time we spoke of the show, in the prior call, but I kind of would have liked to see where the progression of this digital dimension would have gone. And I think part of what I would have wanted as like this little epilogue scene is maybe to know, because we got like the goals of the human, the human side of things, like where their counterparts have gone, where their lives have now been to. And I think it would have been nice to kind of get an idea of like maybe the digital versions would have had their own maybe dreams and goals they would have wanted to pursue within the dimension. But instead of anything too out there, we just kind of get them, like you just said, it's like we just kind of get them all like, yeah, we're definitely just doing stuff. We're hanging out, and that's it. It doesn't inspire like much imagination or like excitement, like, oh wow, that's nice. Like it doesn't fill me with any great feelings. It's like, yep, they're doing all right, I guess.
It doesn't feel like wow, look how far we come, that kind of thing.
No.
Yeah.
Or look what this says about the characters. Like they made this thing, so that says that they're into this thing now, and that's kind of neat. And you could look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious then. So let's say, because I think this is always fun. Let's say you were brought in at the last second. And they said, hey, we want one extra writer on this finale, and we found you, Laviarray, and we want you to pitch how do we fix Jax, because we didn't come up with a reason. We'll say in this reality they don't have any idea for that. We have the backstory, but what happens? Like what, does it get fixed? Does it not get fixed? What is the lesson? What would you say the lesson or like kind of idea should be if like we're going to interact with Jax and we learn his backstory? I put you on the spot, so it's okay if you don't.
No, you're fine. I'm trying to find a nice way to say he needs a man to kick his ass in a little bit, because I know the whole idea is that we're supposed to feel like sorry for him because like he's had all this abuse stuff and all this kind of stuff, but he needs to understand what an act, or not only what it means to be a dumbass.
But Ragatha told him she hated him when she was drunk. Don't that count?
No. I know you're making a joke. No, it
yeah.
doesn't. The whole point, like the
fandom counts it. The fandom counts it.
I'm not talking about him being to get insulted or just being told like, "Oh, I hate you." That's just reaffirming his negative sense of self. His negative sense of self. That's not what I'm talking about. The whole point here is, and I guess this is fitting enough considering what was yesterday. He needs a dad. He needs guidance. He needs someone to get him to get his shit together and figure out what the fuck he needs to do, what the fuck he's going to be doing from here on out. Because the thing is, the reason why I don't have any sympathy for him is not just because I have anything against his backstory or anything. It's just, dude, you spent this entire series just bullying a bunch of spineless little girls. I don't have I have zero respect for Gangle, but it's like, dude, you don't get to be acting like this all the fucking time. And the only way you can get this kind of person to really check their shit is that you kind of need to put a better version of what they're trying to be in front of who they are in front of them, and give them some way to work towards that. So the only thing I can really
maybe
think
like Kinger could come in, maybe.
I don't want to say that.
The issue with that, because I was thinking of it like Kinga could be the man, but the issue with Kinga is that he is basically lobotomized for a significant portion of the show. And the moment he kind of gets a reveal to everybody but Pomni that he's normal, like it's shit has hit the fan.
And here's the thing, and it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know. Waffles, I value that you asked me this question, and I'm not. And feel free to ask me this anytime in the future from right now. But it's kind of hard to do that here because the problem is we've gotten too many issues and problems in the series up to this point to really fix it, to really get to anything properly. If I'm trying to, and if I'm going to, and the thing is, if I want to get Jax in a better position than where he was, he needed someone else to work off of this. And this is another thing that kind of pissed me off about the show entirely. This is horrible cast construction. Because when you're looking to make an ensemble piece, especially something like this that's all about making sure that the characters are like trying to bond with one another and seeing how the relationships work to benefit and hurt one another, you need to be considering cast chemistry. You need to be developing characters who are going to do a good job of pushing and pulling against everybody. Any good ensemble is going to do this. Except this doesn't. We have 5-ish characters who are main focal points for the character study. Kinger doesn't count because he's mostly just a plot device that they can use to either get Pomni or Ragatha to lock in properly, or they needed or whenever we need to push the plot forward. And these 5 characters don't do a good job of pushing and pulling against one another. Zubul is too much of a depressive sad sack to really be useful with anyone other than just defending Gaggle. And Gaggle is a problem unto themselves because they don't really know how to be positive or be able to be in a good state without feeling like they have to be controlling or manipulative to everyone else around them.
So would you say maybe by this point, since this is kind of it's the Jax finale, basically, essentially,
right?
You think by now those characters should have reached a point in their development to where maybe they all could have been that for Jax of like, we've all been through our shit. Now you need to be here you need to go through your shit, and we'll be here to help you with that, because we've grown,
Yes. Or at the bare minimum, it needed to be Pomni. But the problem, it could have, like, honestly, I would have been totally fine if Pomni was the one who was like the main one going around going like, no, I'm like, she's not going there to explicitly fix anyone's problems, but is explicitly there to be that foil to help everyone deal with their own issues and help them become better people from when they started. It could be the ensemble too, but at the very least, it needed to be Pomni. But no one is set up to be a good foil for Jax because everyone here is too meek and too spineless to be able to go toe to toe, be able to challenge him properly. Even Zubul doesn't even do that.
Zubul kind of just gives up towards the end, where she's like more or less just kind of being indifferent. Like she splashes him with water, and then she's just kind of like, "Then you're not that angry as usual. That's kind of weird," and then leaves him be.
Yeah, and it's just
and Ragatha, like we already talked about this like last call, but like the moment she's mean, she's like, "Oh damn, I should never be mean again."
Yeah, because like the person who's encouraging her to be mean immediately tells her, "No, you can't be mean like that." It's like, really. You got to let her cook. You got to let her cook at least the first time, all right? Unless it's really out of pocket. That wasn't out of pocket at that point. So,
and like honestly, with what we know as well with Jax's backstory, retrospectively, Ragatha's like more in the right for kind of like, he doesn't have friends anymore because he let them to die. Like maybe she knows that, maybe she doesn't. I don't know. It might not be clear enough, but like regardless, like she was in the right now to kind of
right
to say what she did.
But the problem is, especially, I don't want to say this too harsh or anything like that, but it's like the funny part is the best character I think who would have been a good foil for this shit was the clown dude that showed up before Pomni. Not just because he's a dude, but because he's the one who should have been like in the middle between him and Ribbit in the first place, and should have already called the shit out and try to check him on this. But this is why I said you have to remember this is a sadness simulator first. This is all about the whole point of this story and why Gooseworx made it this way is because she wanted the story to be about Jax being, oh, he's all bright and funny, all this kind of stuff, right? Yeah, but he's also an asshole too. Yeah, that's because he's a terrible person who's been doing all this crap in the first place, and we need to make him suffer. Because the problem is when the creator is this tied to the project, and is clearly this interested in trying to explore the emotional hangups of his characters. And let's really keep it a buck. Everyone here is basically dealing with the exact same issue of I can't keep myself together if everyone doesn't like me. I kind of have to look at this as a bit of a auteur piece, like in the sense of Pink Floyd's The Wall, where it's like this is just meant to be an inside look into. You can really take this as an inside look into Gooseworx's head,
and this to some degree,
or at the very least, the things that she finds interesting, in media, where it's
right.
where it's like obviously in this case, like, it's a very creator-led project and it's about these characters' psyches. So she literally said, right, that she likes she not based it off, but like a lot of Neon Genesis Evangelion influences. So these are clearly like topics and ideas that I'm sure she's dealt with herself, but are just ideas that she cares about,
Right. And like to some extent, she has put herself into the work more than just like the script and animation.
She's talked about that.
Like Jax, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I swear to God, I'm pretty sure Jax is supposed to be like a strong self-insert for Gooseworx.
Yeah, at the very least. Yeah, I think she's mentioned that. Yeah, I think it's mentioned at the very least, like to, because they're trends. So to tackle like those, at least those ideas, even if you don't believe like in the text, like it does a good job of leading to that idea that he's trans. The idea of like the identity issues anyway are things that it's like, oh yeah, I wanted to put that into Jax and like how he sees himself and his worth and stuff. So yeah.
Right. No, and that's the reason why I'm totally up for seeing it that way. But that's kind of hard. That's the reason why it's kind of hard for me to be able to say, what can I do to try to fix Jax at this point? Because if I was going to fix Jax, I would need to introduce another character at this point, or give a complete overhaul to how Pomni works as a character. Because this kind of Jax, you need to be stern, direct, and task focused. You can't be leaning into trying to deal with all of this, just trying to console or just trying to lean into emotions. He's already there. He's already like trained himself to just go, anything that's trying to be like emotionally supportive and that kind of shit is something he needs to lash out at and push back towards, because I wouldn't be surprised if someone ended up abusing him using those exact same tactics, and he ended up lashing out against it. You kind of need to lock. I don't like the idea of treating, but the problem is, and what ends up making me so concerned, what frustrates me so much about this is how so many people are trying to lean to this. Like, this needs to be what trans and LGBT representation is, about characters who are flawed, aka are sociopaths who are responsible for people's deaths and are so fucking destructive that they end up killing themselves. I hate Twitter sometimes. Some people should no. But it's kind of hard for me to be able to say, if I am totally up for the idea of fixing these kind of characters. In fact, the whole fixing the TADC kind of characters is honestly some of my favorite stories. Like having the TADC character learning how to get over themselves and becoming one of the kindest, like helpful people around. I love that kind of story archetype. Like, Waffles, you should be familiar with this. That's basically what Killua goes through. Killua goes through in Hunter x Hunter.
Right.
Same thing for Jeff and Community. Same thing for Nick Wilde and Zootopia and Wolf and Bad Guys. But the thing about all four of those characters is that you can't just be giving them hugs. You have to be willing to be direct and clear about what they need to do to be able to fix and get into a better spot. Otherwise, they just devolve into this. You have to be clear. You have to be clear cut. You can't just be the emotional support.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my long way of saying if I wanted to fix Jax, I need to completely overhaul this entire series. And honestly, whatever overhaul I'd end up doing is just going to end up either.
It's just a different series at that point.
It's a different series.
You just wouldn't fundamentally make something like this, I'm guessing.
Right. And no, I wouldn't, because like I am all I'm not saying I need to get personally. I do need to get better at tapping into my emotions, and that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to I'm trying to be more respectful and I was really trying my damnedest to find the value in a series like this in particular, because I don't think we should only lock media to just exploring like a handful of emotions. It should try to span the gauntlet. But the problem is, when you're doing that, it should not come at the behest of removing critical thinking or co-sign the idea of being as passive or doing as little as possible to fix your issues. Like we said, by the end of the story, we end up finding out that they are just brain scans, and I'm not even getting into the logic of like how they end up kind of doing a weird retcon around how the brain scans work in the first place.
It's like, what do you think the retcon is? Because we actually briefly talked about this like the other day, and
actually, let's talk about this here, because this is a bit. It's a bit of a retcon. So through the first handful of episodes, we do end up establishing, not just from when Pomni comes in, but I'm pretty sure with other lines of dialogue too, that everyone mentions like, yeah, I remember putting on a headset and then I pull it and then I'm just here and I don't know what the hell happened. Where, how do I forget my name? All this kind of stuff. And then we end up finding out later on that Caine has access to all their social media all the social media profiles. My understanding, especially when they end up having the door to all those social media profiles being having a label of like a free Wi-Fi, etc., and have that flip back and forth between like the directory path for the mind scans, that they end up pulling all this stuff out for the social media that they seem to have gotten all this stuff from their social media profiles.
I just don't get why it would be from their profiles, because that feels random.
Well, no, their profiles are things that happened post who they are now, because that's kind of his point. He's like, oh, you got hit by a car and all these different things, but now you're actually doing pretty okay and blah, blah, blah. So I don't think it's their personalities from that, because then he would have given them some of the traits they have there. But instead it seems like, oh, Jax is actually doing quite well. He's like a delivery guy and people like him, you know?
Right.
But so I think the idea, because at the end of the movie, in the post credit or whatever, it's all of them getting on a bus, and I think the bus has like the logo of the company or whatever that made it. So in my understanding was, because he said like, oh, we were kind of making like AI and like kind of games and things like that. And so my understanding from what I think the implication is, and again, the show's very vague about this, is that they all went to this place and it probably was as simple as like, hey, try on our headsets or whatever for this tour. And they're like, all right, cool. Anyway, well, yeah, it seems like a VR thing. That's neat. And then I'm guessing that's what the brain scan is it's like scanning them from using it, I guess. That's the idea as far as I understood it. Again, it's very vague though.
Yeah, I thought that would have been like later. So
yeah, the timeline's a bit weird.
Yeah, I really don't know. But like, like the whole situation about the brain scan thing really eludes me, because I'm like watching the Jax thing, and from as far as I can tell with that one, it's like, like shit hits the fan. He's like driving away, then he sleeps in some abandoned building, and before we know it, he's like, oh, I'm in a computer world.
Yeah,
and
and that's what I kind of thought too. Is I thought they were all going to have unique reasons for being
involved. How did a farm girl end up in here?
But but then you see them at the end and they're at the bus stop, and I'm like, oh, so did they all go at the same time? So
but then I want to give a bit of a pass on this in particular, because like, here's the thing. Black Mirror does literally the exact same premise, but instead of it being some random AI, it's a douchebag software engineer who's just taking revenge out on all the coworkers he doesn't like. So they have all of their memories, all of their names, but they have no idea how the fuck they got here. But apparently he was able to get them into the game by DNA samples, and apparently their DNA also had like their memory and all this stuff too. Is it bullshit? Yes, but the whole point is they were trying to come up with a reason for how he was able to bring all of them into this game in the first place, where they're so seemingly lifelike to who they are in their real world counterparts. So I agree with you. If you're gonna go ahead and do this, at least try to get it to. So criticism on both fronts.
Because if they all met at the bus stop, I would assume they would all know each other, at least through like voices. Right. Which I mean, and this isn't too far fetched, because we know like Kinga and Queen are his wife. Like they remember one another. Like
Yeah, so
which I know, and I know they're more intimate because they're like, you know, boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. But like, even then, I'm like, wouldn't they possibly one of them be like, hey, your voice sounds familiar? It's like, yeah, I don't know.
And that's where again, like the techno babble stuff is not really
like this is. I there might be like a multiple inspirations. Like I know I have a mouth. I have no mouth, but I must scream. That's a big one. But I feel like Soma might have also been a heavy point of inspiration. If you guys don't know, the concept of that game is like this guy gets into a head accident. He goes to get like a brain scan to see what his surgery is about, and plot twist, like that brain scan is then later used in the far future for like this whole experiment where they get the brain scans of the remnants of humanity because a comet hit the Earth. We're in the apocalypse, and they're gonna take like the brain scans to space on an arc of like a digital space, and the last living people on Earth are like the brain scans that didn't make it put into like these machines. It's a really cool sci-fi horror game. Anyway, the way the brain scan works in that game is Simon Jarrett, the protagonist, he sits down, you know, gets his brain scanned at the doctor's, and after like the flash, his like current, you know, state ends up in the future where he's like, hello, doctor, where am I? I did the thing. Are you out there? So like his brain scan from that second is then like taken from the future. I know it's like a whole other system, but I'm just like, that one makes sense to me. The one in Digital Circus, I'm like, I would have liked more elaboration on how everything came to point A and point B. But I guess that's like, you know, it's a mystery. It's just, you know, it eludes me.
No, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
All
I'm
right,
trying to think. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you have anything else on this?
Yeah, not really. I mean, because as far as like I'm concerned, like with as far as like being mixed, I just think like I enjoyed a lot of the scenes in terms of just like getting like I always just really enjoy like hearing about different people and like their life stories and stuff. So like Jax's whole kind of like thing with like the mom and sort of like pushing her down and being like, I don't even know if she's fucking dead or if she was like trying to trick me, so I ran. And like all the different like kind of cuts between like how he's being like really abusive to Ribbit and all that stuff. All that stuff I just find fascinating as someone who, you know, I enjoy characters. Just I'm gonna be, unless your character's boring, I'm probably generally gonna like your character if they have anything interesting to say. And I think people are interesting, and I like the kind of fucked up backstories that Jax has and all the different ways he kind of perceives people. So as far as like I guess a cerebral level of just like watching it, I quite enjoyed it on that level. I like the Ragatha scene where Pomni does tell her like, no, you really did matter to me, and you're kind of like the reason I am the way I am now because you actually reached out to me and helped me. I thought that was quite cute. I thought that felt like a good full circle moment for Ragatha's story of like she believes that at the end of the day I haven't done much and Pomni's pulling away from me and all those things, and Kinger tried to tell her that wasn't the case, and at the end of the day Pomni kind of getting to confirm like, no, like you're the one who's given me strength to do these things. I thought that was sweet. I thought that was really nice. And same with the kind of the Caine scene where he talks to the moon. So I guess those little moments of just like when it is just like purely like, all right, what's the character's deal? What are they feeling right now? That stuff I did find quite endearing. Kind of the heady stuff though, that's where I would agree that it didn't really like stick the landing for me.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the Ragatha scene? Because I don't think we talked about that.
Oh, me or Derp?
Either of you.
The hug was very long.
They got a full 360 hug. They got like a kiss hug.
Oh, not only that, we had to spend like a whole minute of just seeing them walk away from each other while staring each other down.
Because she's done with the movie. So they were like, goodbye.
They were like, we've really been leaning into the funny bunny thing. We gotta give the other shippers some.
It's like Jax isn't gonna work out, so
yeah, we gotta serve up a whole buffet here.
But yeah, no, I mean, just on its own, I thought it was sweet. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I like a lot of the visuals. I like the little like scene with like the key and like they're all like sitting in the bar and they're all just like being asshole versions of themselves. Okay, I think this would be more fun because I actually saw this in theaters. So I'm gonna give you my theater experience watching the Amazing Digital Circus with a bunch of kids and their parents. They're poor poor innocent parents who I could tell were very confused as to why the frog was giving fuck me eyes while a rabbit sat on a bed and explained their life story about how they may have pushed over their mom and killed them. It was very funny because the movie also plays episode 8 beforehand.
Yeah.
And so the scene where like Caine is like, he's singing his song and he's like, oh, well, what a goddamn shame. I heard a mom go, oh, in the audience. Because again, remember the movie's like not rated. It is like no rating or because like how the fuck do you rate this? Because it's an internet thing, right? So so it's just very funny. Like you could just tell so many of these like kids drag their parents to see it, obviously. And they were just like, you could feel the like, are they gonna fuck on the bed? I
think we all did.
What did my child bring me to? And then I had some hope for the new generation because I was sitting next to this one kid. He had his popcorn out, and there was like one person like talking up in like the top row, and he turns around, this like brave 13-year-old boy, and he goes, shh. And then,
respect. And dude, the amount of movies I've been watching in theaters lately, and there's always like some like 20-somethings like just talking and nobody says anything. It's just like, no, that respect to that 13-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
Respect, absolute respect.
He was here to watch the Amazing Digital fucking Circus, and you were not going to ruin that for him. So that was cool. He seemed cool. And then also, I don't know if I'm guessing now, no way this would be in the internet version. So if you see it in theaters, or if you saw it in theaters, the beginning of it has the Zach Hadelfish show up. And he's like, hey guys, it's me, Zach Hadelfish. Don't spoil the movie, turn your phones off, blah, 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 blah. He explains all that stuff. And then he gives like a breakdown of like, hey, if you haven't seen the show, like here's kind of like a recap. And then at the very end, he fucking goes like, by the way, so like, I don't really know who else to tell this to. But recently I was like clinically dead for like 3 minutes. And when it happened, and he goes, when it happened, like, I didn't see anything. It just went black. I didn't see God. He goes, I don't know. Like, does God hate me? Does he not want to see me? So he's like, I just don't know who to tell this to. And I guess if you could explain it to me, like, I don't know. Has God abandoned me? Does God not want me? Like, I know I'm not real. I'm a fish, but I just wanted to explain that and tell that to someone. He's like, anyway, enjoy the Amazing Digital Circus. Have a nice day. And again, that was the moment where I'm like looking at all the parents like, holy shit, they're probably so confused. So
this is what parents, normie parents, this is what happens when you just throw an iPad in front of your kids instead of actually trying to figure out what the fuck they're watching.
That amazing.
So
honestly, I don't think this is appropriate for me to be watching right now. I don't think anyone under my age
yeah, so that was an amazing experience. The movie was worth it for that fucking alone. That was wonderful. And I want to give props where it's due. So this was a thing where it was actually a negative that I watched it in theaters, which is that, the finale episode's kind of pretty low key in terms of like locations they go to, because at the end of episode 8, like the circus is collapsing and things like that. So I thought like, oh, this is the perfect way. Cause like, obviously it wasn't planned to be a movie. But it's the final episode, so you usually want to go bigger, right? And the animation's like, stunning and stuff. And they do a lot of really cool things with the camera oftentimes. So I thought, oh, this is actually kind of perfect to make it into a movie, because episode 8 did feel big on the screen because it has a musical number. It has all these like trippy visuals. It has like them in their little psychic dimensions or whatever. And he's like torturing them and things. So like, I was like, oh man, now it's going to be really cool to watch this in theaters. Cause like, I can't wait to see how like big they go with this,
Right.
And so like, it actually did kind of, I think weaken the movie in terms of like my first viewing of it, because I was like waiting for the moment where it's like it justifies being a movie, which again is not on the show's fault for that. Obviously, they did not intend it to be a movie, I'm sure. But it was a thing where I was just kind of sitting there being like, when are they going to go big though? When's this going to like, I don't know, when's like Jax's corruption going to start destroying the circus, and then they're all like floating in the nether like portal or whatever, and Caine shows up and they have to do shit. And that never came. So that was one thing that was a little disappointing when I watched it in theaters. But again, that's literally not the movie's fault. But it was just another fun experience with the film, because I'm the only one who saw it in theaters, so I figured I'd share. So, but yeah, no, otherwise, did you guys have any other final thoughts?
I do. I generally feel, like I said before, pretty mixed on this whole thing. I like the show overall. Like, I really do enjoy like the latter for like the former first episodes. of like the wacky silly antics and getting to know the characters, like whatnot. Don't really, like you said, I don't like vibe with the heavy drama. I in the latter half, I really don't think it hits the way it wanted to, at least for me. And the finale really, I think one of my biggest issues with the finale is kind of like by the end of episode 8, we have like, I mean, what I don't know about you guys, but I felt like there was a real camaraderie by the end of episode 8 where it's like, oh my God, the circus is together. Like we're finally at this point where everyone's got each other's backs, including Jax. There's like even like a line of dialogue where Zubul says like, "You're not gonna go anywhere and abstract. Like you're not gonna wander off and die, whatever."
5 minutes later.
Like, but yeah, in like seconds into finale, everyone's like, "Well, Caine's dead. I guess we'll just give up now," and everyone wanders off and in the process of that, yeah, Jax dies, and it just it just bothers me because episode 8 places a lot of significance on like we gotta keep Jax here. We like they trust him to leave, and Pomni's like, you gotta be here later. I'm waiting on you. Like there's like a very significant like amount of importance placed upon on that like kind of togetherness. But yeah, like seconds into finale, everyone's just like, well, I guess this is the end. So everyone just leaves, and it's like, wow, well, that camaraderie was really thin. And it kind of
Yeah,
just
of course
bothers.
it was. Of course
And
it was.
it just kind of bothers me that I know there probably is some degree of like guilt upon the characters. It kind of bothers me that nobody is really all that bothered. Like the way they like he dies. I don't know. I have frustrations of the way he died, with the way Jax died. And I before anyone thinks about it in the comments, it's I didn't want to see it on screen. That's not what I want. What I would have rather liked to happen is the circus is like falling apart. Something bad is happening. The cast needs to stay together. They maybe need to find something. They need to achieve something. They need to get out of like this hazardous area. So like as a team, they're going on a little bit of a journey, and maybe like on that journey something bad happens which splits the cast apart, and in the process of that, Jax gets separated, and in his isolation he then gives in, like it's like then he gives up. And I know it's a whole other like scenario, but like I would have preferred that than just like, well, I give up. It's all just walk now. It just really frustrates me with the way after episode 8. I really liked how episode 8 ended. So the way episode 9 starts, it really frustrates me. That's like a significant gripe I have with the finale. It's just of the way it just leads into Jax's death. But like, yeah, no, I've already explained it before with the whole abstraction thing. Just like I felt like I maybe just maybe it was just hopium. Like, oh, she's gonna save him. He's gonna be back to normal. But yeah, so I guess by the end they're all just zoo animals in an aquarium. The abstractions, and they just watch them for entertainment. I just think the whole abstraction concept is very peculiar. I just don't I don't really know how to look at it. I know it's also, I believe, a possible reference to I have no mouth and I must scream, where one of the characters turns into like a slug thing. I again though I just if you're gonna do this whole metaphor about death, I don't know, like zombified Lovecraftian thing. It's a bit of a peculiar thing to uh, kind of hit the nail on. I don't know. But yeah, no, I liked the show, but man, I did not vibe with the latter half as much. And if you would ask me, Waffles, like how would I fix this show, like how I would approach it, I honest to God, you cannot ask me because my answer would be, well, season 1. would probably be about like the cast and their struggles. And season 2 would be like an AI thing where, oh my god, the circus is now like a civilization of AIs and stuff. And then maybe like season 3, oh, we're gonna like go into the creation of the digital circus and what's going on the outside and how the government is doing something. Whoa, we're getting down to the mystery of it all, and now real life and the digital world is blending and clashing of what's going on. You can, yeah, you can. That would be like my take. So
Yeah, you just make a new show.
Yeah, that'd just be a whole new show at that point. But yeah, no, like I had fun with the show. I like, even though I don't necessarily think like everything hit the landing. I don't agree or enjoy all of it. I respect the show. I'm really happy with how successful it's come to be. I'm like honest to God. Like I didn't see this in theaters, but like when I went to watch the Backrooms, A24, Ken Parsons, when I walked up to like the popcorn counter and I saw over the side like digital circus cup holders, my jaw kind of dropped because like holy, indie animation and like the realm of like Hollywood, like things are really changing. I was just stunned. Like, wow, we're actually living in a strange timeline. That kind of looks in terms of Hollywood and like indie creator space, pretty uplifting, pretty nice. I know it's a whole other thing, but like Star Wars lost to 2 horror movies made by YouTubers, which is incredible. Like I haven't seen
and the movie itself did very, very well. The Amazing Digital Circus movie. So
no, it's like like I think even though again like I didn't love all of it, I had my fun with it, and I really appreciate how far it's come, how successful it is, and it's it's nice. It's a nice story.
At the very least, they created a very compelling premise, and obviously a cast of characters that because you'll find this all the time with many shows where even if the show itself kind of doesn't maybe take those characters where like to their fullest potential, the premise of those characters or just even the ideas or the designs are so strong that they create fandoms of themselves. So at the very least, got to give Gooseworx credit enough that one, the designs are fantastic for all of them. I would say I really like all of them, and two, the concepts for a lot of the characters I think are quite interesting. I could see we've kind of talked about like with Gangle and Zubul and all of them, where it's like, oh yeah, there is like a version of their characters where they maybe go in this direction, but it still keeps like what their core quirks or problems are. So I could like at the very least like the show itself is not intrinsically something where it's like I have no clue how this succeeded. I get why it succeeded. Even just on a basic level of just like the character designs and the premises of the characters. So on that level, hopefully that is what the industry takes forward, is like, oh, you want like a at least engaging cast of characters, not like boring looking nobodies or like animals for the 50th time who talk. It's like, oh, interesting. It shows that weird esoteric creativity can make you money. So I would like to see more. So
go watch Digimon. I'm not kidding. Like that's really the best summary I could say for my thoughts for this entire series, is because at the end of the day, I respect of what a lot of what the show is trying to go for. It's an indie project that's ultimately trying to develop a whole bunch of a whole bunch of different designs and going off of one another. And I understand a lot of the values from that, but that's mostly a lot of aesthetic stuff, and what it ultimately tries going for, especially on a lot of the emotional and thematic levels, and how it handles the sci-fi. I don't want these trends continuing at all. I don't think everything needs that. Like, I don't want to get to CinemaSins level where everything has to be explained, explained has to be scientifically accurate, so that means it's bad. No, I don't want that. But I don't want to go to this degree where almost everything is disregarded just so we can hit to certain emotional beats. And those emotional beats are basically just amounting to, yeah, you're sad. It's okay. Let's just revel in being sad together and not really try to do anything to fix or improve our environment. And I end up, this is probably the most anti-me art I have ever seen in my life. Because as much as I'm not, as much as I am. Wait, what? What's up?
No, it's just
funny.
You just
like
it.
the show is like the
me.
Yeah.
It was just a funny way to put it.
Yeah. It's like, no, I get that. No, I get that. I feel that spiritually on like various things.
Indeed. Sorry.
I've criticized a lot of things on here, but from offering nothing as a piece of art, this is the first time where I'm actually like completely. You know what? No, I am offended. I am genuinely straight up offended from how much this is about, from what this piece of art is ultimately going for, which is basically going is basically just going. If you're in a bad situation, just revel in it and just revel in it and just make the best of it and don't try to do anything. And don't think about it anything beyond that, or you'll just turn it, or you'll just at best, if you try thinking about it too much, you'll just turn to a blackness, to an eldritch monster of yourself. Not trying to do anything to encourage people to actually step forward or try to do anything to be better, which is, especially for something that's clearly appealing to kids, that's the worst thing I think you could be doing, right? One of the worst things I could think of be doing right now. And
well, that's the thing. It's like it's not supposed to be for kids, but it's like it's Glitch Productions. The kids come packaged with the audience.
I know. And
yeah,
that's what makes me concerned because like Glitch, like we ended up watching a couple of other things from them so far. Now, what was the one that was like Nightmare Before Christmas kind of
Gaslight District?
Gaslight District is actually pretty decent for what I've seen from that first episode. So I'm looking forward to seeing more. The other three big properties that they're doing right now, well, not three, other two big properties that they have going on right now, which is COG and Knights of Guinevere and
Game
Oververse. I am not wild about because I have this exact because they both kind of have the same kind of cynical.
Yeah, like one of them's really cynical, and the other one, we've talked about this before, but I just don't know why anyone would have any enthusiasm in Game Oververse.
Yeah,
just like, what if we show the protagonist losing twice and proceeds to also get pounded by like minions of like the enemies? It's just like, wow, what a terrible protagonist. How is she gonna win anything? This is so incompetent. This is the worst foot forward for your show. I just don't get it. The hype.
I've seen. I need to make a list at some point, but I feel like this happens a lot with female protagonists more than anything else. Because like Cora, I don't want to go too much into this because like Cora had the same problem. Where it's like, oh, she got her first win, but then proceeds to get her ass beat by anyone who has a name for the rest of the series. But I digress. That's the whole thing. My point is about this show is that I really don't want this to be to continue any trends because I don't see, because even the things that you guys are complimenting for, I can't see anyone not taking this and just completely going in the worst direction possible. Like it's kind of nice to be able to go like, oh yeah, let's go with a bunch of different eclectic designs all the time. That is a very easy way to just turn an entire cast into just looking like a complete mess and it's just way too bright. This, I think it kind of works here just for the bright poppy aesthetic, but I can easily see this being maybe not weaponized
to be like a Guardians of the Galaxy thing where everyone started being like, kooky space rangers with like an animal guy, you know?
Right. No, I don't want it to turn into, hey, we're in another turn to a giant isekai, and look, our main character is a hammer working alongside just a bunch of random other aesthetics. And I'm sorry, I'm spacing on like naming stuff right now, but I can just see that really devolving and kind of causing more problems in it and setting really weird trends in the first place. Because think about the isekai trend that we've had right now, and all that shit started from Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
And just because that was, and even though it's Japan, we're not great at dealing with our own trends and that kind of stuff too. So I'm like, this is like one of the first things I'm like, this is my op. That's the best thing I can really say. This is my antithesis as art.
Yeah, because you love like a lot of hope-pilled, like inspiring, awesome like show, like Gurren Lagann, like
Yes.
Like no matter how hard the odds, you will drill through that wall and you'll make it onto the other side.
And the thing is, I'm not saying that we can't ever address no-win scenarios. I'm all for addressing the no-win scenarios. The problem is they're not in a no-win scenario right now. They are basically in a universe where they can be gods. This is not it. This should be a non-issue. Hell, you can't even argue that they're really trapped here. Let's ignore the fact that we established that they're capable of making a bunch of different bubble universes. They have access to the internet. You mean to tell me that they can't also go out and explore through that as well?
Like kind of go into the internet.
Yeah.
I do have like kind of wonders and questions about like the universe that this takes place in, and like I mentioned this earlier, like the whole like how like the government side of things, like how who's running this, what's running this, how is running this, and like do the people running this even know about what's going on here? Like who's keeping the lights on, all that stuff.
Like that's
My brain runs to SAO where I'm like, you know, when shit hit the fan and 100,000 people got locked into a video game they can't escape from, and the government like started to run low on money to keep the servers up. You know what happened? A whole other studio came in, like took the servers, paid for like the life support of the players, and kept things running. And then like eventually when like people started to come out, like the people who had their hands on the whole thing were like, what if we experiment on some of these guys and do some nasty stuff? And like there's some like conceptually kind of interesting things you could possibly do with like. But again, that's just like at that point, it's a whole other thing. So you don't want the show doesn't want to lean into any of that because that's a whole other thing.
And that's the thing. It doesn't even want. And I'm like, it doesn't even need to lean that much into just making a whole new conflict. But it's like if you're going to go ahead and set up the scenario, at least cover the bare reasonings about the bare questions about what this setup would be in the first place. Like, okay, let's go with what Waffle said as the official reasoning. They all got brought onto a bus to tour the company that's doing this AI. The AI ended up doing this. They ended up putting on the helmet. Let's say Caine unknowingly ended up scanning them, or the system ended up scanning them, and then ended up causing the shit. How do they not notice there are a bunch of different that the AI is doing all this shit all the fucking time? And there are multiple different other AIs. Like the AI, like artificial intelligence applications and programs are very resource intensive. You are not going to, and I'm not saying that it had to answer these questions, but it's just like a little follow through when it comes to how this setup even remotely makes sense wouldn't have hurt, especially if you're going to try going this hard to set up all this stuff in the first place, to be in a video game AI environment in the first place. At least do the bare minimum to cover your tracks, to bring everything full circle, not even to make a spinoff. So that's kind of my thing. It's not just that I hate how spineless and lacking a forethought that the series has. It's just how much the series is, or how cynical it is. It's just how much it encourages the audience to just not really how the ending statement of the entire thing is just going, let's just be kind of sort of not miserable together through our, and just be kind of, it's just be so wimpy about it in the process. That's really it about it. And I can't, and I just on that alone, I can't respect. On that alone, not only can I not value its attempt at being a sadness simulator, I can't respect it because it doesn't even do that right.
Right. Well, there
my final note on the show is to anyone still listening. Thank you. But also, if you don't like the ending, you can headcanon thanks to the recent collab that Jax didn't die and he's in Fortnite now. He's living on, doing the default dance with Superman, hitting that gritty with Chun-Li, and doing all the quirky emotes.
Hanging out with Pomni.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Pomni. Yeah, funny bunny ship lives on.
Yeah, they literally get to shoot people, and there you go.
Yeah. So there's your get me out of this bad ending jail card. The Fortnite collab is the secret episode 9.
Well, they even made like a little animation with Caine, so it is.
Oh yeah,
it is kind of canon.
Yeah, no, he resurrected, after episode 9, and he was just like, "Hey, do you want to go in Fortnite?" And Jax was just like, "Oh yeah, cool."
It's crazy they spoiled my fan theory that they can come out of their abstraction through a Fortnite collab. That's really nice of them.
Oh, also, I know we're joking, but I'm gonna just go and put this directly. If it's not in the show, it doesn't count. That's I know we're trying to have fun here. It's just one of that whole post that Gooseworx ended up putting out about Jax's identity. I'm just like, girl, if you wanted him to be trans, you should have put that in the show.
But subtext.
Huh?
But subtext.
At the very well, and it's that thing where because I know someone who basically they made a post where they're like clearly Jax suffers with some sort of identity issues at the very least with regards to his masculinity. They have the part where they like put the bow on his head and he like blushes or whatever, and it's like your secret's safe with me. But I took that as like, oh, maybe he's like gay or he's feminine, he's just more feminine or whatever. And they were just like, it's like, yes, very clearly like their identity things, but like it would be very dangerous then to be like, oh well, it's in universe anyway, it's absolutely trans, and therefore if you I don't know, you referred to Jax as he, or if you're like, actually I think it's more of an identity of like being gay or being more feminine or whatever, it would be wrong to like try to superimpose that upon people when it's not directly stated in the show. What is directly there is that he has identity issues, and that could be something that someone resonates with. You don't have to box it in if the show didn't create that box. It is if you relate to it on a level of like, oh, that reminds me of like a trans issue or something, then that's fine. But it is not directly framed that way. It could be anything to do with identity, because
I believe even Gooseworx themselves has kind of posted somewhere that they don't even know how to approach kind of the language of Jax, and I think they've kind of just said like whether you call them he or she, it's it's fine either way.
Exactly.
It's like a whole messy spaghetti situation.
Exactly. So that's one of those things where it's like, it's like, headcanon it all you want. But it, no one's going to take, I don't think anyone here would disagree that it's identity based, his problem.
Like he has the whole scene, like his skin being turned off and he's like uncomfortable, like he's not comfortable in his skin kind of thing.
When he has like the bow and he blushes.
And he throws it away.
Which is really concerning because like how did either Caine or anyone come up with these designs in the first place? Like I get the
just random.
Yeah.
Like I think for some of them I think all of them to some extent are supposed to be like reflections of some deeper thing, but at the same time I'm like, I don't know, man.
I don't know if he designed them or not. They never really say, but yeah.
All right,
anyway,
so you guys have anything else?
Nada.
All right, cool. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you guys for joining me once again. Feel free to tell everyone where they can find you. Derp.
Find me on Twitter at 2DerpADuh, and you find me on YouTube at DerpADuh. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Waffles.
Yeah, me and Waffles. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter by the same name. Thanks for having me once again.
All right, thanks, guys. Everyone, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Feel free to share your thoughts below, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Bye.